So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sharon Whiteman, and I partner with Anna Hunter and Gary Knapp. And we love being with you, each and every one of you, actually, every Saturday morning. Manitech's worth your time and worth your time to explore if you're brand new. If you're brand new to this education, very warm welcome to you. I know my life was changed 26 years ago after starting on this technology, and I'll never look back, and my whole family takes it, and it's a foundation for our well-being. We're very privileged to have Dr. Steve Nugent. He's Manitech's Chief Science Officer and Chairman of the Global Scientific Advisory Board. He has more than 40 years of experience in the area of integrative medicine. He has tested more than 6,000 dietary supplement products and formulated more than 100. He is internationally recognized as an expert in his field and has been teaching doctors for more than 30 years. He's Manitech's most requested speaker worldwide, and he's earned multiple degrees, graduating with top honors at both the undergraduate and graduate levels. His areas of studies include integrative medicine, health and wellness psychology, leadership psychology, organizational psychology, neuropsychology, biological anthropology, nutrition science, and business administration. Dr. Nugent has served as president of the International Association of Complementary Medicine and is president emeritus of the American Naturopathic Medical Association. He is a professional member of the American College of Nutrition and was awarded the Servant's Heart Award by Manitech Associates in 2007. Dr. Nugent is one of Australasia's favorites. He carries the heart for the health, well-being, and education of all he meets. Dr. Nugent is passionate about giving the power of wellness back into the hands of everyday people. You know, one thing we're not taught in the doctor's office or at school is how to be proactive in protecting and maintaining and improving our health. Manitech Australasia has crafted multiple cost-saving bundles to make it easier for us to take more than one product. And today we're focused on the Cellular Balance Bundle. I can't wait to hear what you have to say, Dr. Nugent. Thank you again.
It is my pleasure as always. It's so good to see you and your whole team, Diana and Gary. And I see names of so many of my good friends on the in the participant section, the attendee section. I'm going to be filling my screen with the PowerPoint, so I won't be able to see the chat, so you know that. But I know that the team will be looking, at the chat. So please, feel free to make any comments in there that you would like to make. Hopefully you can see the slides right now.
Yes, we can, Dr. Nugent.
All right, super. That's great. Oops. I don't know what happened just now. Oh, there we go. It's magic, I'll tell you. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Australasia's new cellular health bundle, and it's quite a good bundle, really. Now, it's a combination of ambrotose, which, of course, everything should always start with ambrotose. Everything. I don't care what you're looking to do for your health, to improve your health, to maintain your health, what aspect of your health, everything should always start with ambrotose as your foundation. You build your entire house of health on top of the foundation of ambrotose. And ambrotose contains things called glycans and various plant saccharides. For many years, Manitech referred to them as glyconutrients. We've shifted away from the use of that word because, well, it's a word that our marketing department made up, and it doesn't actually exist in science. So glycans do exist in science, and I'll explain to you what they are, what they mean, and so on as we move forward. So why is ambrotose foundational for your health, regardless of who you are, what your age, what your gender, what your genetics? It doesn't matter. Ambrotose is going to be foundational, and I will show you that. But you're going to have fun learning about Plus and also our product called GI Pro Balance. It's a tremendous combination, these three products put together, and you'll find out why as we move forward. So I want you to remember that the path to wellness begins with intelligent cellular communication. And a lot of people, in fact, I would venture to say most people will say, oh, well, that doesn't sound very sexy to me. I want something to treat me or cure me. Well, we're not talking about medicines, we're talking about dietary supplements. And dietary supplements don't cure or treat or ameliorate. And I'm not saying that because there are regulations that say I have to say those words, but rather because that's not the scientific truth. I'm going to tell you how your body functions at peak efficiency with certain things present, and that begins with cellular communication. Why it's great to call this the cellular health bundle. Well, let's begin with a quote from the absolute top scientists in the United States. I would argue that they are among the top scientists on the entire planet. These are scientists at the American National Academy of Sciences. Now, they studied glycans for about 5 years. They published a document, a very deep document, so complicated that the majority of doctors that I knew looked at it and had trouble trying to figure out what it was all about. It was that complicated. Well, top scientists, they speak science to each other. I'm going to speak plain language to all of you today to help you understand that. So let's start with one piece of plain language that's going to count for this whole presentation. Glycans, those are plant polysaccharides or plant oligosaccharides. These are monosaccharides, and I'll explain all those things to you in a moment, which are linked together in chains, okay? So this is what we provide for you in ambritose, and I'm going to give you quite a bit of time on ambritose during this fairly brief presentation today. The glycans play a central role in every single biological process. My friends, there is nothing known to nutritional biochemistry. There's nothing known to science that is necessary for absolutely every function of the human body except glycans. So this is why I said in the beginning, it doesn't matter what your concern is. It doesn't matter what you're looking for. It doesn't matter who you are, how old you are. None of that matters. If you're a human being and you're breathing, the foundation of your health, and in fact, every single function of your entire body is dependent on these glycans. We can go to the very basics. This is a diagram of human blood types. Now you see on each one, there's two things on each blood type, which is identical. But then the difference are those separate little blocks. Now, each of those little colored blocks that you see that are different or unique to each blood type, those represent a particular plant saccharide. And when you combine them in certain ways, it gives you blood type O, in a different way blood type A, different way blood type B, and so on. Even your blood type is determined by these saccharides. But it gets more foundational even than that. I like to say, and I've been saying this ever since I read one particular genetic study. I'm not a geneticist, but I love reading aspects of science which are not in my area of specialty, because I like to learn the broadest possible expanse of knowledge so that I can bring that to you. Well, I like to say that glycans actually make us who we are. That's a pretty big statement, isn't it? In fact, being human is really about glycans. Well, that's a bigger statement, isn't it? Well, let's take a look. Genetic studies were first done on yeast cells because it's a simple organism. And the genetic scientists found 6,000 genes were necessary in a yeast cell. Well, then they went to fruit flies and they thought, fruit flies are a lot more complicated than a yeast cell. I mean, a yeast cell doesn't do much of anything really, but fruit flies, they can fly and their eyes move and they have sensory system and, so they're way more complicated. So they should have a lot more genes. And they do. They have 14,000 more genes than a yeast cell. Well, then the scientists, as they began to do the human studies, they said, Well, a human being surely must have at least 100,000 genes. Otherwise, how could we be so much more complicated than a fruit fly? Well, in fact, we only have 25,000 genes. Now that shocked and surprised the scientists. And then they had to try and figure out just how is it that we only have 5,000 more genes than a fruit fly, but we are light years ahead of fruit flies in terms of our complexity and functions. Well, they found the answer, and here it is. It's due to, and I'll explain to you what this means, but it's due to post-translational modification of genes. What the heck does that mean? That sounds pretty complicated. It's really not, and I'll show you more of that as we move forward. It's due to something called glycosylation. Glycosylation, you might think of as sugar coating. You see, the plant saccharides, all saccharides can be called sugars, although you need to know there's a difference between table sugar, which is bad for you, and various other sugars that are essentially crucial to every function of your body. So it's like saying the word acid. All of you know that amino acids, there's a group of amino acids that are essential to your health. I mean, you would die if you didn't have them or if your body couldn't make them. And there are also acids that are so caustic that they could eat right through the bonnet of your car. Well, they're both acids, but one is essential to life and the other is potentially life-threatening. Well, here we have sugars, and I like to avoid the use of sugars in most of my talks, but I'm just going to say it here. Plant sugars, not the sweet kind, not the kind that we like the taste of, but they fit in that same umbrella, that same group, okay? Just like good acids, bad acids, there are sugars essential to your health and your life, and then there are sugars that are bad for your health and your life, okay? We're just talking about the good ones. So what these good ones do is they will find what's known as a cell surface receptor site. They bond to it, and that sends a signal up, kind of like the way a cell phone tower works. So a cell phone tower is sending communication out to other phones, and it's receiving communication back from other phones. That's what these little cell phone towers on your cells do. I'll show you a picture of them here in a few seconds, okay? So then, it's glycosylation that causes the communication. And because this communication is almost infinitely complex, with a very small number of genes, we can accomplish an enormous amount of function because they help the genes to translate signals in an almost infinite number of ways. So really, glycans make us human. And I think that's so cool. They're foundational to our health. All right, so how do they work? Well, I've explained a little bit about this in terms of communication, and I'm going to show you a couple of pictures to help you understand it better in a few minutes. But I do want to point something out that I think is very, very important. And two things, really. First, glycans, as I mentioned earlier, are monosaccharides, which are linked together into either oligochains or polychains. So in which case they'd be called oligosaccharides, and which is many, and polysaccharides, which is very many, so much longer chains, okay? Pectins, all pectins are glycans, and all beta-glucans are glycans. So just so you know that. But the next thing, and this is a common thing that I have seen since I started practice way more than 40 years ago, and is people need to think in absolutes. I believe it's a genetic program that we have. And they need to draw conclusions without having scientific verification because their brain wants an answer immediately. It doesn't want chaos or confusion. It doesn't want the stress of wondering what the answer is. It wants to have the answer now. That's what your brain wants. And I believe we're programmed for that. So objectivity is the key to science. But what most people do is not objective testing to find out what works and what doesn't. What most people do is basically observation. So they say, okay, I had symptom A, and I took some glycans and symptom A went away. Therefore, I draw the conclusion that the glycans cured me. Well, they didn't. That's not how it worked at all. The glycans provided that post-translational modification and cellular communication that allowed your body to function the way it was designed to function at optimal levels. You can only function at optimal levels, whether it's your immune system, your brain function, your digestive function, every single function. You can only function at optimal levels if you have 8 particular glycans in place where they're supposed to be and in an adequate supply. So objectivity is when you prove that out scientifically and you can repeat the results so you know that you didn't make an error, that you really have the facts. The facts are that there are 8 glycans necessary for cellular communication. We know which 8 they are, and we want to make sure you have them every day. Now, within our product called Ambritos, we actually have 10. Okay, so that means you've got some bonuses here. And this is not a training on Ambritos, so I'm not going to go through all the particulars on this. But a lot of people say, well, which ones are in there? There you are. Those are the ones that are in there. Let's go back to diet for a minute. The ancestral diet is very, very different from the, excuse me, from the current modern diet. The ancestral diet is a diet that was far healthier than the one we have today, but it's a long way from what we have today, a long way. Think of your body as an organic machine. Now, rather than getting into all kinds of complex biochemistry and nutritional biochemistry and all that, let's just think about machines. Machines need fuel, and machines need to be repaired. They need to be maintained. Well, the fuel in this case are nutrients, because your body is an organic machine. It needs nutrients. And now that we live in the 21st century, we need a lot more nutrients than we used to need. And that's because our stresses are greater than they used to be. Now, this is from a different study which compares the ancestral diet to the modern diet. Now, you can see at a glance that the modern diet is very different than the ancestral diet, and it is therefore providing us a different set of nutrients and, in many cases, a lack of certain nutrients. And I'll show you why countries around the world are beginning to recognize that, and that'll surprise you. You'll see that in a couple of minutes. So think of your body like this car as an example. Now, our ancestors were driving their cars, their bodies, on a level plane. All of you know that when you drive on a level road, you get better fuel economy than if you drive uphill. Everyone knows that. You also get better overall maintenance for your car and overall protection, so less wear and tear on your parts if your car is driving on a level plane versus going uphill. So if you're going to go 5 kilometers on a level road, you will burn less petrol. You will have less damage to your parts, less wear and tear to your parts. You will need less maintenance than if you're driving 5 kilometers uphill. Same distance, but more fuel is required, more maintenance required, more repair is required. There's more damage to the machine. So then think of our ancestors of always walking on the level plane But in the 21st century, we are all going uphill. And we're going uphill because we have more stress today than there has ever been on human beings that we know of in any recorded history. Psychological stress, yes. Physical stress, yes. In fact, environmental stress, worse than it's ever been before. How do we know that? We know that from ice core samples. Scientists have done ice core samples going back thousands of years, and we've never had pollution as bad as we have it now. We've never had nutrition as bad as it has been in our current general diet. So I don't want to say every country is exactly the same or every group of people in every country. Excuse me. Very dry where I'm at right now. Excuse me. So what we want to do is really focus on the idea that the general modern diet is much less efficient than the ancestral diet, while our stresses are actually greater. Right now, 67 countries in the world, now there's 192 countries last time I checked, 67 countries have now made it federal law that food companies that are selling processed foods to you, that are selling bread and muffins, I'm not sure if you call them muffins in Australasia, but you know what I'm talking about, and cakes and so on. It is a federal law in 67 countries that nutrients have to be added to them. Now, why would they make it a law that you have to add nutrients? Because they're not there. And they know you need them. And that is kind of shocking to a lot of people, 67 countries. And I predict there's going to be a lot more countries who are going to catch up. They'll be doing the science and they'll go, oh my gosh, our citizens are increasing healthcare costs in our country and lowering economic efficiency, because that's what governments really care about. Government, anyone who says to me the government cares about you, I just, I've got a bridge I can sell you. I just don't even think that. What they care about is, are our citizens economically productive? Are they raising our gross national product? Are our citizens healthy and not costing us money in terms of healthcare? That's what they're concerned about. So they make laws and they say, you know what? We're going to have to add these nutrients that we know are missing from the modern diet. Now, they haven't caught up with every nutrient, and I think that'll be some time before that happens. But they've done enough that it should make you aware that things are different in the 21st century. This is not the 20th century anymore, folks. Things have changed. So 8 of these saccharides are what you require. Again, you have 10 in ambertose, but according to scientists, they tell us that in the modern diet, we're only getting 2 in quantities that are adequate for the average person every day. Now, there may be somebody who's getting 3 or 5 or 6 or maybe even 8, but we're told it's 2 for most people. Well, if you need 8, you're getting 2. There's already a problem, isn't there? So here's another reason to supplement. So now, why should you supplement your glycans daily? I'm asked this all the time. And somebody says, I have problem A, and I took ambertose and it's gone. So I want to stop taking ambertose. And I say to them, no, because you need your glycans every day for every function of your body, no exceptions. Let's take a look at some of these, how they work. Well, right now, what you have here are the cell surface receptor sites I talked about. And you can see these little beads that are on the cell surface receptor sites, the little curly cues that are coming up and little beads on them. All right, the little beads represent what are called glycoproteins. So that's a glycan bound to a protein, bound to the receptor site. And that's what you're seeing right there. Now, that's how you send signals out and receive signals back. That's how only 25,000 genes can produce functions of complexity. Again, that's light years ahead of that of a fruit fly, okay? Because we can do these things. And this, so here on the slide, this is an old teaching slide I've been using for years. And most people are thinking about their immune system all the time. And there's a lot more than the immune system think about here, but that just shows you how that works. But this is how it really looks. Now, this is done with an electron microscope, and they used a blue dye on those little curlicues to show you how many glycans you actually have on the surface of the cell. Now, my teaching slide is made simple on purpose so that you can see and get the idea in your head. But this is how it really looks. There are countless, probably trillions and trillions of these. I don't know for sure, and I don't know that anyone could count to know for sure. But your cells, all of your cells are virtually covered like the Amazon rainforest, covered with these things. That's how complex they are and how important they are. Well, let's just talk about the immune system for a second. Just look at the top line of this, not the rest of it, just the top line. Now, on the top line, those are immune cells, granulocytes, eosinophils, basophils, neutrophils. Some immune cells can live for only 10 hours. Some can live as long as 3 days. But they're dying every nanosecond of your life and being replaced every nanosecond of your life. And as they're being replaced, they're looking for glycans so that the cell can look like that. So why take it every day? Well, that's why. So you feel better today? That's great. I'm glad you do. I'm very happy. But make sure you have what your body needs every day. And you might think of it too, like look at the case of vitamin C as an example. People know they need vitamin C. I think the whole world knows that. And most people know that without it, you get pretty sick and you could eventually die. In fact, you would eventually die. Now, vitamin C doesn't just produce itself magically and you inhale it. You have to eat it. Your body can't make it. You got to eat it. And you need to eat it on a regular basis or you get sick. It's kind of simple. All right. So why Manatech? 3 things: science, safety, and efficacy. Safety, we do multi-level safety checks that far exceed the minimum requirements that our competitors do. We also use science to prove efficacy or the effectiveness of our products. And most of our scientific studies are human double-blind placebo controls. That's the gold standard of science. Most of our competitors don't do science at all, and they will have under their marketing information, they will have things like, we've got this magical ingredient that's been tested in this clinical study and that clinical study. But read the fine print. Do they say that their final complete product has been tested in a human clinical trial? No, that's not what they're saying. That is what Manatech says. Because item A and item B may have entirely different functions than when you combine them together. Now, the function is so different, it's unexpected. So we like to do studies on our final complete products, not individual ingredients added to a product. In fact, we've spent tens of millions of dollars. I've lost track. I don't know how much money we've spent now. Tens of millions of dollars on our state-of-the-art laboratory and all of our equipment in there. And of course, study after study after study. Studies are expensive, no question. We have earned 150 patents to date. Now, that's not patents on packaging. This is patents on actual technology. And that has to be pretty impressive for everyone. We also are the only company in the world that can say we pioneered a field of science. No other nutritional company can say that. We pioneered the field of nutritional glycobiology. We're the science company. That's it. We just are. All right, so ambritose. What do we know that ambritose does, and how do we know it? We know it by human double-blind placebo-controlled study. Cellular communication, yes. Cognitive function, memory function, concentration, attentiveness, mood, irritability, all those things related to brain. In fact, 7 of our studies are brain studies. So we know lots of things about what ambertose can do to support brain function in so many ways. Also, immune function, and that's what more than 95% of people come to Manatech for, is for immune support. But I want you to know that it's far more than immune support. And of course, digestive function we have also documented. More than 50% of every ambertose container is made with 2 ingredients that are exclusive to Manatech. So even if we didn't have patents, the products are exclusive to Manatech, and we think that's important. 54 patents globally have been earned by the ambertose technologies. One of our most important ingredients is a glycan called arabinogalactan, and that in a double-blind human placebo-controlled study showed that responses to vaccinations were enhanced with arabinogalactan. And what does that mean? It means that it helps to modulate immune function. It helps your immune function to work better and in a more balanced way. That's what it means. We also do third-party testing because there's always somebody out there who says, well, yeah, you know, Manatech has conducted this test and that test, but have you done third-party stuff? Yep, we have. Our competitors haven't, but we have. Right now, there are still 12 ambertose patents in force. Patents always expire in 20 years, all patents in all countries, but we still have 12 in force, but it doesn't really matter. We're always putting forth new patents. We've got patents pending right now. And of course, the formula is protected because of our exclusive ingredients that can't be obtained anywhere else. I personally have been using ambertose complex since 1996. And when I get healthcare practitioners, because I often do seminars for medical doctors and other healthcare practitioners, and they always go through this, oh, well, you guys have different ambertose products, and in some countries we have 3, in some countries we have 1, in some countries we have 2, and it gets confusing because we're an international company, and you may look at talking to someone in, oh, I don't know, Holland or Finland or Colombia, China, name a place. Okay, so we're in 44 countries right now. So with this in mind, I always tell the doctors, always use ambertose complex and you will never make a mistake. You'll always be right and everyone will always be happy. So don't confuse yourself with use this one for this, use that one for this. Don't even go there. That's what I always tell the doctors. You can make your own decisions on that. Again, some countries only have 1 option. Some countries have 3. It just depends on which country you're talking to people in at the time. Now, one thing that comes up all the time, because, you know, I started earlier talking about sugars, because they are plant sugars. And then people go, oh my God, sugar, it's bad for you. It makes you fat. It raises your blood sugar. Oh my God. Now, why would Manatech do that? That would just be so dumb to do that. Why would any nutritional company do that? So we did a human double-blind placebo-controlled test, drawing the blood of healthy individuals, and none of them, not one single person, had a change in blood sugar plus or minus. Why? Because we don't use bad sugars. All right. So all you have to do is take ambertose, put it on your tongue. You will know instantly that it's not one of the bad sugars. You'll know right away because it doesn't taste all that great. That's just the simple truth. And you will have some people who say, oh, well, you know, some of your saccharides, some folks, not all of them, we use 4 different plant sources, not 1. Lots of people think it's all about aloe. It isn't all about aloe, but we do have one of our important saccharides from aloe. And so they'll say, oh, I think I'm allergic to aloe. The allergen in aloe is in the yellow sap. We don't use the yellow sap. Why? Because, well, first of all, it contains an allergen. And secondly, there's nothing useful in it. So it's separated out completely. That's the answer. All right, what about Plus? Plus is a great product. I mean, Plus is a product that you really don't even have to train on at all. All you have to do is give somebody a bottle of Plus. They're going to want another bottle in 30 days. I mean, it's about a 95% guarantee. I've been taking Plus myself since 1995, and I love this stuff. I won't be without it. And I mean, that's really all you have to do. But let's go through some of this for you anyway. If you're having any of these things that you see on the screen right now, any of them, then you may be having a problem with your endocrine system. And some people will call that your glandular system. And let's talk about that a bit. Plus just might be the right product for you. Sure is the right one for me, I'll tell you that. You know, our psychology is very much affected by our hormones. How we feel, happy, sad, it very much affected. In fact, our desires and sometimes even our needs are affected by our hormones. Traumas and stressors and environmental factors, they can all affect our hormone balance. And a healthy hormone balance gives you the best immune system, not just the best overall health. Most of us, as we age, are going to find that our daily requirements continue to go up. That's a shame, but that happens. In fact, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to somebody who said, 20 years ago, the products worked for me, but today they don't. Well, the products still work exactly the same, except 20 years later, you don't work exactly the same. Oh, yeah, your car is older now and it's driving uphill and you need more. And that's the answer. So your metabolism reduces and your hormones reduce with age as well. And of course, stress affects that as well. Puberty and pregnancy and genetics, there are genetic factors that can affect it. So the benefits of Plus, and if this was a training on Plus, I'd give you a lot more information this, but this really is what you need, basically. In fact, the first thing I found with Plus when I was still in practice, and I was doing blood tests on my patients, and I found that adrenal fatigue was something that came up frequently among people who came to see me. And when they were taking Plus, well, things got a lot better. The energy got better, the mood got better. People were happier. They had a better sense of well-being. They felt stronger and more with it. They weren't craving certain foods quite as much as they did before. So that's one of your benefits, and it's a huge one, supporting the adrenal glands. In addition to that, your immune system, nervous system, cardiovascular system, and note, it's for breast health and prostate health and bone health and colon health. All of those things. I like to think of it as the general food or fuel that the glands require so that the glands can make the hormones for you. Plus does not contain hormone. This is something that has frustrated me from my very first talk I did on Plus back in 1995, where people thought Plus contains hormone. It does not contain hormone. It has phytosterols, which are sometimes thought of as plant hormones. Those are not human hormones, okay? But they are plant sterols. Thinking of them as hormones is just not correct. And also plant-based saponins and amino acids, which you know are essential to your health, and glycans as well. And as I said, this formula is beneficial to both men and women. It's made with a variety of ingredients, but the primary active is something called Dioscorea villosa, the Mexican wild yam. From that Dioscorea, we extract and standardize a saponin called diosgenin. Now, that's the main thing that is supporting the glands. It's a real key factor for making you just feel really great. Plus makes you feel great. And when you don't take Plus, so a lot of people don't know they could feel better. And they start taking Plus and they say, yeah, I guess I feel a little bit better. Then they stop taking it. So, oh man, I really want another bottle of that Plus. As I say, the product pretty much sells itself. I want you to understand this. There's no hormone, and diosgenin cannot convert to estrogen. It is scientifically impossible. It cannot convert to estrogen. All right. So just put that one to bed. If that's something that you have been thinking about or even teaching people, it can't do it. But what it can do is it can fuel or feed your glands so your glands can make hormones as they need them. How do your glands know how much hormone to make? Cellular communication, ambrose. That's what regulates how much, how often, how long, and so on. So breast health and prostate health, men, if you're not using Plus yet, and especially any of you guys who are over 40, you're really going to appreciate Plus. You really will. And the farther you are beyond 40, the more you're going to appreciate that product. And ladies, you're going to appreciate it at every age. So I don't know about a specific age where it's going to be better for you, but you're going to like it all the time. So here's some of the features that we always talk about: gluten-free, dairy-free. It is free of preservatives, and also these are naturally sourced ingredients. Vegan friendly. It is also kosher certified, and it's important to know all of those features. Again, I know people have been taking this product for 25 years, every month for 25 years, and they won't give it up because it's that good. That by itself, I mean, you talk about reviews, people say that they now trust reviews, like they go on Amazon or something, and they trust the reviews more than the advertisement. Well, what's the review? The review is a person saying how much I like this. Folks, if somebody's been taking something for 25 years nonstop and they won't give it up, that's a review, right? That's a really good review. All right, let's talk about the last product in the bundle, which is GI Pro Balance. And first of all, some of you are going to think, oh yeah, probiotics. Oh, okay. Right, here's some things you need to know. The number one category of sale in dietary supplements for the last 7 years has been GI products, so gastrointestinal products. And that's probiotics and digestive enzymes and so on. So 62% of the world says they have gastrointestinal problems. 62% of adults on this planet. Billions of people, folks. And it's twice as bad for females as it is for males. Ladies, I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry for you. There are so many things that are worse for women than they are for men when it comes to health. But on the good side, ladies, you'll almost always live longer because men tend to burn themselves out faster. So I'm not looking forward to that one. Anyway, so the gut-brain connection, you've heard about it. Well, I'm not going to go into detail. We don't have time for that. But I can tell you that there are now genetic studies that have confirmed that there are genes in certain probiotic bacteria that talk specifically to genes in certain brain cells. In the human design, there is that communication between gut and brain. It's for real. And it is true. We know it's true now scientifically that how you feel has a great deal to do with your gut health. So your overall emotions, how you feel, a great deal to do with gut health. I mean, even serotonin, 95% of the serotonin is actually made in your gut, not in your brain. It's used by your brain, but it's made in your gut. So products like our Manipul and Ambrose, of course, but GI Pro Balance, these are the products that we think about for immune support. Right now, the consumption of gluten products, sugar intake is at a huge high, and I'm talking about the bad sugars, the table sugars. Poor nutritional habits are probably worse than it's ever been in history. I can't say that one for sure, but probably. The World Health Organization says that Right now, stress is a health epidemic. Stress, psychological stress, and that affects your gut health and lots of other aspects of your health. And since 2019, alcohol consumption has risen 70%. And alcohol kills bacteria, including the good ones that you need. Common symptoms that you might have that would tell you that maybe I should be looking at probiotics every day: acid reflux or heartburn, diarrhea and constipation, gas or bloating, abdominal cramps, pain, fatigue. That's right, general fatigue, because your energy levels have something to do with your gut health as well, and perhaps nausea for some of you as well. So those are some signs that you might need some probiotic. But folks, in the 21st century, in today's environment, just say you need probiotics every day. You just do. Folks, just do it every day. Now, as our population ages, and that's better than the alternative, and there are so many people that have so many problems that are related to the gut. Some that I've already mentioned, but there's a lot more. This is causing a growth rate of 7.7% in probiotic products each year. That is a huge rate of growth. It's enormous. And there's no sign that it's going to slow down. In fact, at current rates, it looks like the market for probiotic products is literally going to double by 2028, putting us somewhere in the 40 billion, that's billion with a B, US dollar mark per year. It's huge. People have gut problems, and they're beginning to realize that probiotics are a big part of the answer. Well, our product GI Pro Balance is a hybrid from my original product that I formulated way back in, I don't know, I think it was 2004. And that first product was simply called GI Pro. And this is built upon that. Every time we improve the product, we're maintaining the name GI Pro Balance, and we build upon it, but we continue to improve it. And we have recently improved it again. So we have 8 very hardy, very strong probiotics. Now that's important because some probiotics will not survive stomach acid. They're just not tough enough to make it through. And we've also deliberately selected, after we did scientific study, so it's not like curiosity, let's get some darts and throw them at the dartboard and see where they land. No, it's not like that. After doing scientific study, we found that certain probiotics like ambrotose better than other probiotics. And when they combine, they actually work more efficiently. They make the ambrotose work better, and they make the probiotics work better. And we combined those probiotics in this formula as well. So that's the list of them. Now, here's something that I hope you'll find interesting. This is probably new to most of you. In a recent study that came out, because there's so much excitement about the GLP-1 drugs that are out there for weight loss, well, it seems that there are 4 probiotics, 4 of which are in GI Pro Balance, which are known to improve results with weight loss and to help reduce blood triglycerides. These 4, which are actually in our product, GI Pro Balance. You should be excited about that. You should be very excited about that. And this is just an excerpt from the study on the GLP-1. And so for those, and I'm not going to mention the names of the various drugs, I think there are 9 of them at last count, where you give yourself an injection once a week and it helps you lose fat really fast. Well, you don't have to inject this. In fact, you're going to find that GI Pro Balance tastes really good, and you're going to enjoy taking it every day. It's powder, comes in a slim stick. And we know that those 4 do help the body with the GLP-1 reaction that helps you deal with losing body fat. Well, that's a benefit That, I mean, like, who expected that benefit? I wasn't planning on that one, but there it was. You know, we found the study, or I found the study in my daily research. I read new studies every single day because I'm looking for new stuff to help us. And this one came up. I thought it was really, really important. GI Pro Balance is such an amazing and unique product. You can't get a patent on something that's not unique. So if this was the same as everybody else has, then you'll say, well, there's, zillions of probiotic products out there. Yeah, there are. But GI Pro Balance has 11 patents. 11 patents, folks. It's unique. And it's Manatech. And it's convenient. And it tastes real good. And you're going to want to do it every day. Now, you only need to do one every day. But I know when you taste it, you're going to think, that tastes pretty good. Maybe I'll have 2 or 3. You won't hurt yourself, but one is what you need to do. Of course, the product is gluten-free, free of preservatives, free of MSG, suitable for vegetarians. It's all naturally sourced ingredients. It remains viable without refrigeration because it's something that I did for us in GI Pro back in 2004, and we've simply carried it forward. You see, a probiotic is a living organism, or in science, we call it a viable organism. It has to be living when it gets in your gut, or it's of no value to you at all. How does it stay alive? Well, living things have to eat. So what I did in the original product, GI Pro, and now we've carried it forward in every product going forward till today with this latest version, is I put prebiotics in there. The prebiotics are glycans because probiotics love to eat glycans. They just love them. And so there's enough glycan in the probiotic Slim Stick to feed those bacteria for up to 1 year. Now that's pretty cool. So you don't have to refrigerate it. Now you want to make sure that you maintain it at reasonable temperatures. So, 49 degrees C would not be a good temperature for it. All right. But, you want to, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you want to maintain reasonable temperatures with it, but you don't need refrigeration. That's very cool. No artificial flavors, no artificial sweeteners. All of these ingredients are supported by solid scientific study, as I've mentioned. It's low glycemic, so it tastes sweet, it tastes good, but it won't raise your blood sugar. So that's very good and suitable for whatever your diet, keto diet, low carb diet, name a diet. And of course, the material is non-GMO. That's important. So that is Australasia's Cellular Health Bundle. And I hope that information has been very useful to you. I know I went really fast, but there was a lot to squeeze in there. So I hope that was useful to everybody. Sure.
Yeah, we didn't think you'd get it all in an hour, Dr. Nugent. So well done.
I didn't either.
There's one question about allergies. So, my sense, correct me if I've got this technically accurate. Allergies are a dysregulation of the immune system in some form. And with amyloidose or nutritional glycans providing components for structure and function, over time, it could impact that positively, would you say?
We want to be careful that we don't make any claims in that area. Let me say that if your immune system is functioning at optimal levels, then you should have generally optimal health.
Perfect. So, John and Anna, there you go. From Dr. Nugent, he agrees with Diana and I. Actually, it's the other way around. Dr. Nugent, God bless you. And thank you very much for being here. It's just
Always
a
a
privilege.
pleasure.
Yeah, it's a privilege to be with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great
Yes.
weekend. Bye-bye.